When photographing flowers, I can stand back and view all of them or focus on one flower. Or I can narrow my focus to just the center of one flower. It depends on how close I want to get. Focus is a factor when writing a worksheet. As you know, there are many ways to fill in a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, and each one serves a different purpose. Sometimes I write a worksheet about a person in general that I haven't forgiven. Going global, like this, gives me a perspective that narrowing down to a specific situation does not, and sometimes I find this helpful. Other times, I write a very angry Judge Your Neighbor worksheet where I rant and rave and swear, and it's so helpful to write a worksheet like this, rather than a controlled, hyper-focused worksheet. But sometimes I do rely on the skills of my craft, just like when I'm photographing a flower. Often I find it very helpful to write a very focused Judge Your Neighbor worksheet that goes deeply into one particular stressful moment and revolves around one particular offense. In these worksheets, my focus is so sharp that I'm literally going 1 inch wide and 1 mile deep. I see things by focusing in this way that I don't see when I write general worksheets or purely ranting worksheets. Writing a focused worksheet is a skill, and it's a skill well worth developing. You can take great photos without ever learning photography, but you'll have many more options and you'll be able to take consistently better photos if you master the skills of photography. The same is true for the work. There are some skills worth learning. One of these is the skill of writing a very focused Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. What exactly am I focusing on? The process of writing a focused Judge Your Neighbor worksheet is a process of narrowing down. The process starts with a stressful emotion. That's the alarm clock saying, hey, it's time to do the work. If I listen to the emotion, it will lead me to something that is bothering me. Someone or something upset me. Something triggered my emotional reaction. What was that? Who was that? Where and when was that? It takes some time to start narrowing it down to the specific emotion that you felt in that specific moment and finding the situation that triggered you. It's a process of listening, meditating, and noticing. Once I find what triggered me, I can look deeper. The trigger moment is a specific situation. I remember where I was, I remember where I was standing, I remember what was going on, I remember who was there, what they said, how I felt. This is already very focused. But within the trigger moment lies yet another point of focus even closer, which is sometimes called the offense. Another way to think of the offense is as the emotional interpretation. Let's say you've been bending over backwards, taking care of those you love, but when you ask someone for help, they react by saying, "Why do I have to do everything around here?" And these words that they say, they get to you. That's your trigger. That's the situation. That's the trigger. But the offense is something more. The offense, on the other hand, is your emotional interpretation of what they meant when they said it. It's your story of what they were doing to you emotionally. And the thought, he doesn't appreciate me, is one possible emotional interpretation in this situation. And this would be what we would call the offense. So the trigger is when the person says, "Why do I have to do everything around here?" And you're thinking, oh my God. So that's the trigger, but the offense is, he doesn't appreciate me. Or it might be a different interpretation. He's unfair. There could be many different interpretations here from one particular trigger moment. Line 1 of the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet would be, if I chose that interpretation, I am angry with him because he doesn't appreciate me. The offense is what really bothers me. As I narrow down from my emotion to a specific situation, to the offender, and then to the offense, I get clearer and clearer about what was upsetting me. When I write a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet on what was really bothering me, then what I write is very relevant to me. And that's the whole purpose of writing a focused worksheet in this way. Doing the work on these very relevant statements that are close to me, that are touching me, that are charged because they're connected to my emotional interpretation, doing the work on these tends to touch me deeply. And that's the value of really focusing on one offense when writing a worksheet. If you want to learn and practice how to write a very focused Judge Your Neighbor worksheet and find the emotional interpretation, then join us for the Work 101 course as a part of Inquiry Circle. And I'll end with a quote from Byron Katie from her book, Loving What Is. Whenever we experience a stressful feeling, anything from mild discomfort to intense sorrow, rage, or despair, we can be certain that there is a specific thought causing our reaction, whether or not we are conscious of it.